Hey guys, my name is Anthony and in today's video I'm going to be bringing you my first track guide in wet conditions. So if you want to see more track guides similar to this but in dry conditions, then click the link up above the right hand side of the screen and it will take you to a playlist of all the track guides I've done so far in dry conditions. And if you want to see wet condition track guides in the future, make sure to hit the big red button down below, subscribe to the channel and like the video. So getting straight into it, if you want some extra help when it comes to driving in wet conditions, make sure to click the link once again at the top right hand side of the screen and that will take you to a video of me talking about how to drive in wet conditions. So moving on to this track guide now. Just passing the start finish line, you want to be in 8th gear, obviously you're on a straight here. And then coming up to the first corner, usually you would want to brake after the 100 meter board in dry conditions. But as you're passing the 100 meter board in wet conditions, you want to brake down roughly about 90 to 95% into 5th gear. And then as you're turning into the corner, one last downshift into 4th, right over this curb. Then just try and hug this curb here as tight as you can. Short shift up to 6 so that you can try and put the power down as soon as the car is straight. And then up to 7th gear. And then coming up to this corner, once again at the 100 meter board in 7th gear, brake down into 2nd gear. Again, around about 90 to 95% on the brakes, because you don't want to be 100% on the brakes. Down into 2nd gear. Try and short shift up to 3rd, just get a little bit of the throttle going. Hug this curb. And again, short shift up to 5th gear, try to get the power down as quickly as you can. Then turn through this corner here, try not to go on the outside or else it will sort of unsettle the car. I think in my Hotlap I did run on the outside and it unsettled it a little bit. And then right here, just after the 100 meter board, you want to brake down from 7th gear into 4th. And then you want to hug this curb here. Try not to go on the outside once again or else it will unsettle the car whilst you're in a race. And try to get the power down by short shifting, hug this corner as tight as you can. In 7th gear, coming up to this corner, down from 7th gear at the 100 meter board into 3rd. So clip onto that curb there and then try and get the power down as soon as you can. I lose quite a bit of time here because I ended up going on the outside of the curb there and it lost me quite a lot of time coming into this sort of straight. And coming up here, in dry conditions, usually you would just throw the car in, a slight brake, throw the car in at 7th gear in as you're passing the 50 meter board. But in wet conditions, you want to downshift 2 gears, so into 6th gear, a little bit on the brakes, and then you want to do that as you're passing this black box here. So as soon as you pass the black box, a little dab on the brake, and then down 2 gears into 6th. Try and roll over this curve just to give yourself the best line through here. Short shift back up to 7th. Right over this curb without invalidating it, and then try not to go too wide. It does unsettle the car. In my Hotlap I did go a little bit too wide there. Luckily it didn't unsettle the car, but you don't usually want to do that. And then up into 8th gear, coming up to this braking zone here, once again 90 to 95% from the 100 meter board, down into 4th gear. Just miss that curb if you can. Don't go out wide here or else you'll spin. Short shift up to 6th gear. Then as you're passing the 50 meter board, one downshift into 5th. Sort of tap on the brakes again. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Put the power down when you can. And then just before the 50 meter board, usually a little bit further back than this. But right when this barrier really ends, just after it, that's when you want to brake down from 5th gear into 2nd gear. And you want to brake down, you want to shift down the gears quite slowly here, because if you shift down too quickly in wet conditions, it will spin the back end out. So down into 2nd, turn this corner here, hold the throttle round about, say about 40%. So if I go into neutral and I'll zoom in whilst I'm editing so that you guys can see a little bit better. If you hold round about this much, for about 40% of the throttle whilst you're coming through here, short shift up to 3rd, then short shift up to 4th, and then as you're getting the car straight around this corner, one more short shift up to 5th, and then try to get the power down. And that is a lap of Australia in wet conditions. So what I'll do now is I'll showcase the Hotlap that you guys see in the title, and then we'll move on to the race setup that I've got set for you guys in wet conditions. So I'll see you guys at the setup portion.
So far, our fastest lap is a 1 minute.
Okay guys, so we're here now at the setup portion of the track guide and moving straight into it. The aerodynamic 6/8 wings, you're not going to have as much air downforce coming in towards the car in wet conditions because the car is going to be going a lot slower, therefore you want more aero on the wings. Transmissions is pretty much the same as in dry conditions, so we'll just leave that at that. That's pretty much my default. Suspensions, high camber, low toe, again another really default sort of setup when it comes to the suspension geometry. For the suspension itself, 2/4 suspension, 6/9 anti-roll bar, and then 6/8 ride height. You want the car to be a lot higher off the ground in wet conditions, of course, or else it's really going to cause problems with your straight line speed. The brakes, you want to have less brake pressure because you're not really going to be braking as hard going into heavy braking zones as you would be in dry conditions, and the braking zone is going to be longer as well. So I've gone with 90 and 52 on the front brake bias. You want to have the brake bias more towards the rear when it comes to wet conditions because it's so easy to lock up in wet conditions if you're not using ABS. And then for the tires, I've pretty much gone around about the same all across the board really. 21.8 at the front and then 20.3 in the rears. So that's going to be it for the first track guide in wet conditions. Once again, if you like this video and you want to see more track guides in wet conditions, make sure to hit the like button and the big red button to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video.